amid all the noise of life. Perhaps you've felt it, something quietly shifting deep inside your soul. You can't quite name it, but you know it's coming. A new energy, a new chapter, as if the universe itself is whispering, "It's time." If you're hearing these words right now, it isn't by accident. Sometimes, God doesn't send signs through miracles, but through the very moments when you choose to pause and listen. Take a slow, deep breath, because what you're about to hear isn't just a story, it's your journey. The awakening, where the sacred fire within you begins to rise, softly but unmistakably. Aries, there's something sacred moving inside you right now. It isn't an ordinary change, it's the awakening of an ancient energy, a fire that's been waiting for years to be seen, to breathe, to return. You might not be able to name it yet, but you can feel it. It's that quiet warmth in your chest, that subtle light glowing from the inside out. It's the voice of your warrior soul, a call that doesn't thunder, but beats in rhythm with your heart. One heartbeat at a time, whispering, "It's time." From the moment you were born, you were the first spark on the map of the zodiac. It's no coincidence that Aries stands at the beginning, the point where the universe chose to ignite life itself. Inside you runs the blood of the pioneer, the one who dares to walk first into the unknown, who steps forward even when the path hasn't yet appeared. But life, the noise, the doubts, the expectations, they taught you to silence your flame, to stay small, to stay safe. And then one day, you woke up and something inside you stirred, as if someone, somewhere, had struck a match inside your heart. That fire isn't loud, but it's powerful. It doesn't burn to destroy, it burns to illuminate. It reminds you that everything you've been searching for out there has always lived within you. You just needed the courage to look. Awakening isn't rebellion against the world, it's a return to your true self. And when you begin to listen to that call, the world around you starts to shift. Those who once hurt you become mere characters from a chapter long closed. Dreams you buried quietly begin to rise again like a faint breeze, carrying the scent of a distant morning. And you begin to understand. The light isn't waiting at the end of the road, it's right here, in every step you take. You no longer need to prove your strength, Aries, because real strength was never about resistance. It's about standing still in the storm and keeping your inner flame alive. God never asked you to be perfect. He only asks that you be honest with your light, because only when you live that light truly can you help others find theirs. Now, imagine this, a single candle in a dark room. With just one breath from you, that flame is enough to scatter the shadows. And now, imagine thousands of candles waiting for that same spark to reach them. That is your mission, not to burn the brightest, but to ignite others. No one can extinguish the flame that God chose to guide the way, because this light doesn't come from you, it moves through you. Every action, every choice, every step aligned with truth is how you reignite the meaning of your own life. And when you accept that, the universe begins to answer not with words, but through gentle signs. A chance encounter, a warmth in your chest when you thought you were lost, a dream returning, clearer, closer, more alive than before. That's how the universe speaks to you, Aries, through sacred subtleties like stars slowly appearing again after the storm has passed. And if you listen closely enough, you'll realize the universe has already begun sending you the first quiet signals of this awakening, the ones your heart can finally hear more clearly than ever before. There are moments that seem ordinary, but when you pause long enough, listen deep enough, you realize something in the air has changed. A breath feels different, a faint pull in your chest. A dream so vivid that when you wake, its scent still lingers in your heart. Change doesn't always arrive with thunder. Sometimes it comes like a passing breeze, softly touching the wind chime at your porch. One night, you can't fall asleep, not from worry, but because your soul is whispering something. A small, steady voice, subtle yet certain. It's time to awaken. You may feel restless for no reason. Everything around you looks the same, yet somehow, it doesn't feel the same. Things that once brought you joy now seem distant. Things that used to bother you no longer matter. You start seeing life with new eyes, the eyes of someone awakening. Sometimes, transformation arrives quietly, through the smallest details. A morning when sunlight rests gently on your hand, and suddenly you realize you're still here, still alive, still given another chance to create something good. A brief encounter makes your heart tremble, that strange familiarity, as if you've known that person from somewhere far, far away. A song plays at the perfect moment, and every lyric seems to speak the words you never dared to say. Those strange coincidences aren't accidents. They're messages, soft transmissions from the universe, spoken in a language beyond words. When your heart begins to open, the world starts to speak back to you in its own quiet way. A falling leaf, a glance that lasts a little too long, a pause in the noise of the crowd. All of them are messages. You just need to be still enough to hear them. Awakening is not always about searching sometimes. It's about stopping long enough to notice that life is still blooming all around you, even in the smallest things. And when you begin to feel that subtle current moving within you, don't be afraid. It's your soul expanding, preparing to receive more light. You might not fully understand yourself right now. One day, you're filled with inspiration. The next, you feel empty. One moment, full of faith. The next, tears fall for no clear reason. Don't try to go back to how you used to be. You're walking through a doorway of transformation, and everything old must dissolve so the new can take form. Trust that the confusion is not chaos. It's thread being unwound, so the universe can weave a new fabric for your soul. Every emotion, every vibration, every sigh is the heartbeat of change. It's not here to exhaust you. It's here to remind you a higher awareness within you is awakening. Awakening isn't always lightning striking the sky. Sometimes, it's a quiet evening when peace finds you, for no reason at all. It's the morning you look in the mirror, meet your own eyes, and feel something new understanding. That's the sign. Not an illusion, not a dream, but your soul's signal saying, I am ready. All those subtle shifts, the calmer mind, the sharper intuition, the deeper compassion, these are messages from the universe. Your rebirth has already begun, as gently as dawn slipping through a window, brushing away the night without a single word. And if you pay close attention, you'll see that behind those tender signs lies a deeper truth. For every soul that is reborn must walk through its trial, the meeting ground of light and shadow. And that is where this story will take you next. The sacred place every warrior must pass through to finally find themselves. Awakening is never an easy journey. It comes like a wave, both gentle and fierce, sweeping away everything that once felt familiar. What you believed was stable begins to tremble. People you once felt close to slowly drift away. The place you called home starts to feel too small, and in that moment you realize to become a new soul, you must let the old one go. These days may leave you confused. You look around and see everything changing too quickly, too forcefully, as if the universe is pushing you out of a shell you've outgrown. The feeling of loss, misunderstanding, even betrayal comes like unexpected rain. Yet just when you think you're falling apart, something quiet appears, a stillness between two heartbeats, where you finally see, not every collapse is an ending. When the light within you grows stronger, the darkness will try to test it. But darkness isn't as frightening as you think. It's not an enemy, it's a mirror, revealing how bright your light truly is. Without the night, how would you know you carry fire in your heart? Without trials, how would you ever recognize the strength that God placed within you? Sometimes, the world shakes not to punish you, but to free you, like a strong wind that bends weak branches, yet helps roots grow deeper into the earth. Pain works the same way. It doesn't come to break you, but to shape you. The people you lose, the chances that slip away, are simply old garments that no longer fit the soul you're becoming. In every transformation, there comes a night when you sit alone, just you, the sound of your heartbeat, and the wind beyond your window. You ask, why do I have to go through all of this? And then, in that silence, a voice rises not from outside but from deep within, because your soul was born to be strong, not to have it easy. Suffering doesn't come to destroy you. It comes to make your light unshakable. It is the sacred initiation of the warrior soul. And when you finally understand that, every tear becomes rain that cleanses, every fall becomes a prayer, every scar becomes a doorway to a new version of you, steadier, wiser, and more compassionate. In this moment, remember what stands before you is not punishment, but preparation. The universe is teaching you how to keep your light without losing your kindness, how to stand tall without turning cold, how to be powerful and still keep a heart that knows how to love. When the storms pass, you'll see yourself differently, not because you've conquered, but because you've awakened. You've learned to love yourself in the dark, to forgive what's behind you, and to look at life with eyes full of gratitude. That is the truest victory, the soul's triumph over fear. Sometimes, the universe doesn't whisper, it shouts. It makes you lose direction so you'll remember not to follow an old map. It breaks your limits, only to show you how far you can really go. And right there, in the middle of that chaos, you begin to discover a new kind of peace. Not the peace that depends on outcomes, but the peace that comes from knowing, no matter what happens, you will rise again. Let every wound be washed clean by gratitude. Let the silence within you become the place where you hear the universe the clearest, because only after walking through the night can you truly see the dawn with a transparent heart. And it is in that collision between light and shadow that the soul's deepest lesson is born. The lesson that opens a new chapter, where you begin to see not just your strength, but the very meaning of what it means to live and to love. Sometimes, it takes an entire lifetime to understand that what once felt like an ending was really just the beginning of something greater. When life leads you through trials, it's not to break you, it's to help you see yourself in your most raw and honest form, unguarded and brave enough to no longer hide your wounds. There comes a moment, in the stillness of night, when everything is so quiet that you can finally hear the voice of your own soul. That voice doesn't demand that you be stronger. It doesn't rush you to move faster. It simply whispers, be still. Watch, feel, because only in stillness can you tell what's true fear and what's true strength. Real strength isn't about fighting back. It's the ability to stand in the middle of the storm, to look at your pain and say, I'm still here. When you stop trying to escape your pain, you begin to hear the message hidden within it. Every tear becomes a drop of light, washing away the dust of ego, allowing your soul to see itself with new clarity. Not everyone is chosen for this kind of journey, because this path isn't for those who seek safety. It's for hearts that love life so deeply they're willing to break for it and still rise again, choosing to love once more. You were chosen to begin again, not once, but many times, until you finally remember that every new beginning doesn't happen out there, but within you. Every scar on your body, every mark on your heart, is a sacred seal, proof that you've dared to live, to love, to feel. They don't make you less beautiful. If anything, they make you more human, more real, more trustworthy, more alive. And if you look closely, you'll see that each scar shines with its own light, the kind of radiance that only comes from someone who has walked through darkness and returned without losing their kindness. Life never teaches in theory, it teaches through experience. Sometimes, the lesson arrives wearing the face of someone you lost. Sometimes, it comes disguised as a mistake. And sometimes, it appears as a smaller version of you, frightened, uncertain, yet still brave enough to take another step, even when the road is invisible. So when you feel tired, don't rush to blame life. Place your hand over your heart, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, What am I learning from this pain? Change the question, and life will change its answer. Pain will no longer be the enemy, it becomes the teacher. Failure will no longer be a stain, it becomes the ticket to growth. The ones who hurt you may forget, but you remember, and that memory, instead of hardening you, makes you softer, wiser, more compassionate. That's how the universe turns you into a healer, not through grand speeches, but through the quiet peace you carry after surviving the storm. If there's one truth those who've endured understand, it's this. True strength isn't never falling, it's knowing how to rise again, in the gentle light of gratitude. You begin to feel a new kind of balance between courage and humility, between action and acceptance, and when that happens, everything inside you finds harmony. The storms still come, but they no longer carry you away. You've learned to see them as part of nature, necessary, powerful, purposeful. When your heart is calm, the world becomes clear. What once terrified you now passes like a breeze. What once made you cry now becomes a message of love for those who walk after you. And you begin to realize maybe this whole journey was meant to teach you one thing, that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the choice to keep loving, even after being broken. So if you find yourself standing in the fire, don't run. Breathe in and feel the warmth shaping your soul. The fire isn't here to burn you, it's here to purify you. And once you've learned to stand strong in the flames, the universe will begin to show you your true power, a power that doesn't come from resistance, but from perfect harmony with the light within you. After all the storms you've endured, after learning how to stand firm in the fire, something strange begins to happen. You no longer have to try so hard, and yet things start to come to you effortlessly. Doors that were once closed now open softly. People you longed to meet start appearing, naturally, without striving. You begin to walk with a quiet kind of peace, not the loud confidence that seeks to be seen, but the calm knowing of someone who understands where they stand in the flow of the universe. This is the sacred phase of synchronicity, when your inner world and outer world start speaking the same language. You're no longer chasing, because what's meant for you now finds you. Your frequency has shifted, and the world like a mirror begins to reflect that truth back. People notice something about you, though they can't quite explain it. It's not your appearance, not your words. It's the energy, that quiet pull that makes them feel safe, seen, inspired. Your true power doesn't lie in making others look at you, but in making them feel seen when they do. When you walk into a room, the air changes. When you speak, people listen. When you're silent, your presence still fills the space. This isn't pride, it's balance. The state of someone who has learned the harmony between faith and surrender. You've stepped into a new kind of field, what many call magnetism, the natural attraction of an awakened soul. You're not manipulating, not strategizing. You're simply in resonance with the divine rhythm of life. When you live in alignment with who you truly are, everything meant for you is drawn closer because it recognizes that you are finally ready. And sometimes, it feels almost magical. An old friend suddenly reaches out. Opportunities appear from nowhere. Money, love, recognition, they begin to flow more easily, as if the universe has quietly been rearranging the scene behind you, preparing the way forward. But the most beautiful thing isn't what you're receiving, it's what you're becoming inside. That calm sense of being guided not by fear anymore, but by light. A power that doesn't make noise, yet touches everyone it meets. It's the confidence that needs no proof, the radiance that needs no spotlight. The presence of someone who finally understands. When you stand in the true position of your soul, the universe handles the rest. You start to see that real power isn't control, it's trust. When you stop forcing, things begin to flow. When you release, what's meant to stay, stays. When you open your heart, love moves like ripples across still water, gentle, persistent, reaching others without words. Those who once doubted you now seek your guidance. Those who walked away now realize what they lost, but you no longer need to prove anything. You simply smile, thank them silently, and keep walking your own sacred path. Because now you know energy never lies. It only mirrors the frequency you're living from. When a person discovers the divine power within themselves, they become dangerous to darkness and healing to everything around them. That power doesn't come from status or wealth. It comes from alignment between heart, mind, and soul. A person living in that state doesn't need to take from the world because they are the source. So if you've ever believed you were small, remember this: your light was once born from ashes. And when you choose to stand firmly in that light, the universe will begin to reveal the next layer of your journey, the realm where light no longer shines just to be seen, but to heal. When a soul has walked through the fire, its light is never the same again. It no longer shines to prove itself. It softens, deepens, and becomes a gentle presence that makes others feel safe just by being near. You've known what it's like to close your heart, to stand firm in storms, and now, simply by existing, you've become a quiet source of healing. Sometimes, you don't need to say a word. A glance, a smile, a slow breath, that's enough for someone to feel peace again. Because energy doesn't speak through language, it travels through the eyes, the tone of your voice, the silence you carry in your heart. People sense something different about you. It's as if you've walked out of a storm, yet you smell like the earth after rain, fresh, calm, and sacred. You no longer try to save anyone. You simply choose to be fully present. You've come to understand that healing isn't about fixing others. It's about becoming so whole that your presence reminds them they already are. That's how your energy works now, light as breath but expansive as sunlight. And the world needs people like you. Not the ones shouting for change, but the ones living it quietly, kind, grounded, steady, and full of love. When you listen with your whole heart, people feel seen. When you forgive sincerely, people start to believe they can too. And when you walk through life with peace in your steps, you leave seeds of peace everywhere you go. In this noisy modern world, people aren't just hungry for success, they're starving to feel understood. Sometimes all they need is a hug that says nothing, or a soft voice whispering, "I understand." And sometimes, just your presence, no judgment, no fixing, just being there is enough to make the world a gentler place. You've become a human torch, not the kind that burns fiercely, but the kind that endures, a flame that warms, not destroys, a person who has known pain but chose not to become bitter. And because of that, your energy melts the ice around other people's hearts. If you ever wonder, what do I bring to this world? The answer is you. You are the gift. A living proof that a human being can lose, fall, break, and still remain kind, grateful, and full of faith and love. You're the reminder that light never disappears. It only waits to be passed on by someone who has learned how to keep it alive within. You find yourself talking less about what you've learned because now you are the lesson. People can feel the maturity in your gaze, the compassion in your voice, and the peace in your steps. You've become living evidence that healing the world isn't about changing it. It's about changing how you show up in it. The world doesn't need more perfect people. It needs more real ones, those who have felt pain, who still choose love, who fall and rise again. And when you become part of that quiet light, you begin to see true strength isn't found in shining the brightest, but in helping others believe that they can shine too. Every soul that crosses your path is a mirror. When you look at them with kindness, they start to look at themselves with gentler eyes. When you live with love, that love multiplies, it doubles, triples, turns into waves that travel farther than you can imagine. That's how the universe heals through you, not with noise, not with spectacle, but through light, passing through light. And when that energy within you becomes pure, when your warmth is strong enough to reach the darkest corners of another soul, something miraculous happens. A new door opens the door of ancient wisdom, where you begin to understand life, not only with your heart, but with the radiant light of your soul. After every lesson of pain, after every cleansing through fire and tears, something extraordinary begins to happen: stillness. No more noise of fear, no more battles to prove anything. There is only you and a silence so peaceful, it almost hums. And within that silence, a sound arises, soft but deep. It's the voice of your soul, not the voice of the world, nor the one you've grown used to hearing. It's the same whisper you once knew as a child, before the world taught you to fear, to run, to doubt. Now that whisper returns not to command, but to remind. The ancient wisdom within you is awakening. It isn't something you learn, it's something you're remembering. Remembering how to believe in what can't be seen. Remembering how to listen to your heart before the noise of the world. Remembering that your soul was never meant to live small. This is the moment when you start to sense the world with the eyes of intuition. You hear what isn't said. You understand what doesn't need words. You begin to see connections that once seemed like coincidences. A person appearing just in time. An opportunity opening when you've stopped expecting. A dream that reminds you of something ancient inside yourself. All of it fitting together perfectly, like pieces returning to their rightful place. This wisdom doesn't come from knowledge. It comes from awareness. You no longer seek the answers, because you are the answer. Clarity no longer comes from thinking harder. It comes from trusting deeper. And as your trust grows, life becomes clear, like dawn breaking after a long night. Now, you speak less, but every word carries weight. You no longer argue because truth doesn't need defending. You simply live it, and your presence alone becomes a mirror, inviting others to see their own light. You've become a reflection not of who others are, but of who they could remember themselves to be. It feels strange, doesn't it? You're still you, and yet, not quite the same. Every action now feels guided, as if an invisible hand moves gently through you, precise but soft. A word said at the right time, a simple act that changes everything. A silence that heals more than advice ever could. You begin to realize these are not coincidences. They are messages from the universe spoken through you. Because when you live in alignment, your life itself becomes a language of light. And in that realization, a truth unfolds. Wisdom isn't something passed down, it's something awakened. It's always been there, sleeping inside your heart, waiting for you to grow still enough to hear it. When you finally trust the flow of life, that wisdom moves like warm water, washing away confusion, leaving only clarity. The world might look at you and call it luck, but you know better. It's harmony. You no longer resist what comes nor cling to what leaves. You've learned to live like a tree, reaching when the sun calls, resting when it rains, always trusting that spring will return. As this ancient wisdom awakens within you, your heart softens, but your eyes grow brighter. You stop rushing. You stop comparing. You stop being angry at what isn't perfect. You begin to see things as they are without judgment, only understanding. And in that understanding, you become a guide. Not by title, not by name, but by presence. You don't teach people, learn just by watching you live. You don't try to be good, your peace makes others want to be better. You don't talk about healing, yet whenever you enter a room, it becomes lighter, calmer. That's the sign of one who's reconnected with ancient wisdom, one who knows light doesn't have to shine. It only needs to be opened. And when that energy reaches its purest form, when you no longer live to prove, but to serve, something new begins once again. Another door opens. The final one in this sacred journey, where the Aries flame prepares to step into complete rebirth, a perfect union of strength, wisdom, and infinite compassion. Everything you've been through, every wound, every loss, every long night that felt endless was never the ending. It was only the prelude to a far greater symphony, and today, you are the melody. No longer a journey of becoming someone because now you see. You have always been everything you were searching for. The light within you is no longer a single spark. It has become a lighthouse. Wisdom, courage, compassion, and grace now flow together, one unified current of being. You no longer try to find balance, because you have become the balance itself. You no longer need the world's approval, because deep within, you already know the worth of your soul. This is the stage of wholeness where the fragments of you stop fighting, stop hiding, stop running. They sit together, breathe together, and create something entirely new, quieter, deeper, more radiant than ever before. You've walked through fire, learned to burn without destroying, to shine without blinding. And now your light spreads not to prove power but to guide. There is no more race to run, no more wounds to hide, no more fear of being left behind. You understand now, no one can truly stop an awakened soul, because that soul no longer moves from ambition, but from love. People sense it, that shift in your energy. You are both steady and soft. Your presence reminds them that it's possible to be honest and still be safe, to be strong without hurting anyone. That is the power of a reborn spirit. You no longer chase power, you embody it. You no longer seek the light, you are the light. Everything you once lost has returned in new forms, deeper, purer, more aligned. And you smile, knowing. Without the darkness, you'd never have discovered light this gentle. Rebirth isn't about changing who you are, it's about changing how you see. Now you look at life through the eyes of gratitude. You look at others with understanding. You look at yourself with unconditional love. And from that way of seeing, the world around you begins to soften, lighter, more real, more human. The Aries you are today is no longer the lone warrior, but the guide of a new era, a symbol of resilience, freedom, and awakened love. You don't fight the darkness anymore, you illuminate it. No one can stop you now because you're no longer chasing the world, you're leading it home. This is the complete rebirth, not to become someone else, but to return to yourself whole, free, and alive. The Aries flame within you no longer just burns, it has become eternal light, a light that shines with wisdom, warms with compassion, and endures with faith. That light always wins. Thank you, brave soul, for choosing light in an age of chaos. Thank you for keeping your fire alive, for letting your glow become hope for those still lost in the dark. May the Aries flame within you always burn with wisdom, shine with love, and guide with kindness. And if you can feel this transformation stirring in your heart, share your story below, because when one flame tells its story, the whole world becomes warmer, brighter, and more compassionate.